But if it were a deeper wound, we could ball it up and then stick that ball down in there. Right, so great point, Andrew. I don't want to just stick this aluminum right on the skin because it's kind of abrasive and it's also going to get hot. Metal's going to heat up. So we're going to temper that by putting it in gauze so that it's the gauze that's touching the skin and the electrode doesn't cause so much pain. All right.
Do you have to worry about the foil being sterile?
No, because my gauze is sterile. So normally I would.
Oh, yeah, see? Little
That's
things
okay.
that I can make.
Little tricks to make it quicker and easier. So this is my sterile gauze. I just ripped the lid off. Then I'm going to take my sterile saline and just squirt down in there to get this nice and wet. Get myself nice and wet too. I'm going to work that saline all around. And then, I've got a glove on, but it really doesn't matter. I'm going to take and just grab the very corner of this. Keeping only on the corners. This is going to be cold because I didn't heat my solution. I'm going to lay that right on the wound there. Now I don't have to worry about putting non-sterile aluminum in because I've got a sterile surface against the wound surface. So then I'm going to lay my aluminum foil on the wound and then cover it. And the pre-wrap is nice. It's a quick and easy way. You could use Velcro straps. You could, if the patient is immobile, you don't have to worry about anything. Just wrap that on there like that. Now, I'm also going to need another electrode, actually 2 more electrodes. I'll use this one for 1. And this one, I could use a carbon electrode because this is going to go on intact skin and I could just keep reusing that carbon electrode. And it just needs to be somewhere, at least 10 centimeters, hopefully away from the wound, ideally, if possible. I don't want to cross a bone, a joint, if possible. Now sometimes you don't have a choice, especially like if you're down here in the foot. And it could be either proximal or distal to the wound. And there's no good research to say whether you go proximal or distal. Sometimes I think about which way I want to increase circulation because the E-stim is going to increase circulation as well. So do I want to be drawing blood down? Is this an arterial ulcer and I want to be drawing blood more down into the lower extremity? I might put it distally. If it's venous, I might put it more proximal where I don't care to draw the blood down into the distal extremity, right? So either spot, you can decide. I'll just put it up here. And then because it's high volt pulse current, it's a type of direct current, you need to have a ground as well. And that ground could be a huge pad like this. You could use a same size pad. You could use a piece of aluminum foil too. And make your own pad. You could do aluminum foil for this one if you wanted to. So we'll just use a huge one here. And this can go anywhere on the body. Doesn't matter where it goes, it's just your ground. So it could go anywhere. Do your britches pull up all the way or no?
No.
No? Okay.
They're a little tight.
That's okay. Can you take your, yeah, or just put this on your belly. That's fine. You're going to feel a little tingly on your belly, but that's okay.
You can put it on their back when they're
Put it on their back, I put it underneath their thigh. It's just completing a whole circuit there.
We did not, I was going to wait till it's kind of going, but I'll go ahead while she's
Yeah.
continuing here. So the parameters for how often you're going to do this is you're going to try to do it for 30 to 60 minutes.
Oh, wow.
So making sure that your patient is comfortable, not only while you're cleaning your wound and setting them up, and doing any other things like any sharps debridement you would do before you did this would make sense. Okay, so so putting it on their back is sometimes a good spot while they're laying down because it's not going to move, and it's usually, again, we're kind of going with the idea that it's, if it's a leg here, and then you can still put it on their back, even if it is more of that like sacral pressure ulcer.
All right, so I just attached my electrodes into the machine. I can attach this she attached the ground to that one. This one I can simply attach here, so it's just a regular electrode in there. So I just like any Stim machine, attach that there. Now I have a problem down here. How do I attach this to aluminum foil? Can't just attach the electrode directly, so that's where alligator clips come in handy. So I'm going to take an alligator clip and I'm going to attach it to the foil. Feel like MacGyver? You guys are too young for MacGyver, sorry.
Oh, wow, no wonder no way.
What is that?
I have a great MacGyver story that I'll tell you guys sometime.
You don't know what MacGyver is?
Stuff out of nothing, like
Yeah,
paper
he
clip,
makes
tape,
electrodes
tape.
out of
All right, so I attach one end of the alligator clip to the foil. I attach the other end to where the electrode would have gone. So now that completes my loop there. So then I'm going to turn the unit on, and it's just on off. So you press the on off button. And then once it's on, I want to set all of my parameters. So I'm going to hold down on display, and as I hold it, you'll see a check mark appear up there. Then I let go and it says access mode. That means I have access to change controls, because this unit is made to give to a patient. So I'm going to set it all up, give it to a patient, and then the patient, I don't want the patient to be able to mess with the settings. So that's why that's on there. So now that I'm in access mode, the first thing it asks me is, do I want to use one of the presets? And I don't, so I'm just going to tab through that one. Then it asks me what rate. So it's sending pulsed currents. So how many pulsed currents should it send? What rate should it send those? How many per minute? And if you look at the literature, it suggests at least 100 pulses per minute. If you do lower pulses, you get more into muscle contraction, and I don't really want a muscle contraction here. And the 100 pulses per second tends to be more comfortable for patients than going really low, because I could go real low below that muscle contraction, but then it would be like boom, 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 and it's uncomfortable. Versus 100 pulses per second kind of feels like this getting on you. So it's kind of ticklish or
Per second or
tingling.
per minute?
Per minute, sorry.
Okay.
100 pulses per minute. That's really fast. So at least 100. And so it's set at 108. I could drop it down to 100 if I want. I'll put it at 106. So it's just the up and down arrows that set that. Then I hit tab again, and it asks me whether I want negative or positive. So I can set the polarity. That's one of the cool things. We can talk about that.
Yeah.
With high volt pulse current, I can set the polarity of the unit or of the electrode that's in there, and then that will attract certain cells. So if I want, let's say this wound is really covered with lots of guck, lots of eschar, lots of slough. I want to do more debridement, so I want to pull in neutrophils and macrophages. Should I do positive or negative? And if you don't know, you have no idea, right? So under your resources, there's a file called galvanotaxis, and it's a little chart that has all the different cells and what they're attracted to. So you'll see that macrophages and neutrophils are attracted to the anode. Pardon me. They're attracted to the positive end, so they are negatively charged, right? So I want this to be positive if I'm trying to get debridement. If I wanted, let's say it's a clean wound, lots of granulation, I would just want to get more granulation tissue in it, then I want fibroblasts, which fibroblasts are attracted to the negative because they are positive, positively charged. So I would put it on negative, all right? So that just toggles back and forth between positive and negative. Then you hit tab again, and it asks you how long. And most protocols go for 30 to 45 minutes. You could go as long as an hour, longer the better. If I'm giving it to a patient to do at home, I'll set it up for an hour for them, but treatment sessions, you might only do 30 minutes. And then one more time on the tab, and it asks if you want simultaneous or alternating. We really want the current going the whole time. The more current, the better. So we're going to go simultaneous. So it's constantly sending the current in and not alternating back and forth between pads. Yeah.
How do you know which pad is which via the machine? So how do you know that it's setting the cathode to be the MacGyver pad versus the other one?
Yeah. So the ground, because you have two active pads, it's actually setting them. It's actually alternating between the two. So it will go back and forth positive between the two.
So they're both gonna have the same charge and then the ground.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
But in terms of on the machine, it's the red, because the red that has the two versus
Yeah.
the black.
Yeah. The black is
Like,
always
don't
your
think a
ground.
red and a black go together. The two reds are your two active.
Two actives. Yeah.
And so that's where the machine helps you. You just have to tell the machine what you want it to be.
Wendy, what did you say about the cathode with fibroblasts?
Fibroblasts are attracted to a negative, so the cathode, because they are positively charged, and that little file, galvanotaxis, will help you remember which is which.
Because I don't have a very good angle, can you just explain, like, so there's 3 electrodes
Yep.
right now, right?
2 actives here,
And then ground.
1 ground up there. Yep.
And I think on some machines, like one of them, like the ground is green,
Ground
you
should
know,
be green.
and so then there's a black and a red, but that's where you have to know your machine to know. But usually the machine it wants to be smart for you. It wants you, so it's easy to tell.
And if you have to put the electrodes too close together, it's just going to alternate back and forth between the two regardless. You could set it positive or negative, but it's actually going to bounce back and forth between them. So.
And how many times would you have
Once a day. Once a day. And in outpatient settings or home health, if I can't leave it with the patient, sometimes it's once a week or twice a week. But the goal is to add electricity to the wound and to attract the ions that you want.
Which is why in like the meta-analysis, it's anywhere from like 2 to 7 times a week.
So now I have everything set. I'm just going to hold down on display again until that check mark appears, and then let go, and now it says patient mode. That means we can turn it on. And now once it's turned on, the only thing that we can change is the intensity, how many volts we're delivering. And with that, we want to take it up to where it's strong but not uncomfortable. So I'm going to turn it on, and you're going to tell me when you first start to feel it, and again, it's going to feel kind of tingly. And then I'm going to keep turning it up until you say that's strong. And then I'm actually going to back it down a little bit from there, because it may be comfortable right this minute, but 10 minutes from now it won't be. So, okay?
If you're aiming for like the H, the high volt, is that you're actually aiming for it to be 70
Yeah, probably around there, yeah.
70 to 100 what?
Volts.
Oh, okay.
That's what makes it high volt,
Okay.
is that you're in that range.
Feel anything
I
yet?
do.
Where do you feel it?
Here.
Okay, that's all right. And sometimes they'll feel more in one pad than the other. Don't worry about that. Okay, so now I'm going to turn it up, and you tell me if it gets uncomfortable. Sometimes you'll get muscle twitches. Usually you'll get beyond that. If
And
you're
now I
getting,
feel it in the lower one in my foot.
okay. And if you get a lot of muscle twitching, you want to move your pad if at all possible, mostly because you're going to fatigue a muscle. You know, if it's on there for 30 minutes and it's constantly contracting, I don't really want to fatigue her. How's it feeling?
That's like getting strong.
Getting strong?
My
And is
foot
it,
started moving too.
yeah, is it uncomfortable?
No.
No?
No. Still not.
Okay.
Like tickles the bottom of my foot.
Yeah.
That's like kind of strong.
Okay, so she's at 90. I'm going to back her down to 85 at least, and then just let her go with it.
Yeah, I definitely feel it like so much more up here.
Yeah.
So what if you can only get somebody to 50?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's on for so long that if you have the luxury to, you can come back and try to see if they've accommodated to it, like any other stimulus. And you know, I don't know how you're taught to do TENS, but that's often what you're doing with TENS, or why you might pick those protocols on the TENS, on some of those portable TENS units will change so that it avoids accommodation. But in this case, accommodation would work for you because you might be able to go up higher. But you're still going to do so many other things that it's still worth doing. Don't think it's not.
And you just tell the patient if it becomes uncomfortable, you can either hit the off switch or you can just grab that. pulling
now I
that
feel
through.
it way
Now you
more
feel it
on
because
the-
now you just got the ground and
Yeah,
this.
that one's
Yep.
way stronger.
So you pull the ground off, or you pull this one off. Just pull that up. Now it's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
they just have to pull off electrodes to get it to stop.
Right.
Or turn it on off is the better way
That's
to
better.
go.
Because you don't know what they're gonna do if they
Yeah.
pull out
Like
your
rip your wound
aluminum
off.
foils.
And that's it.
Right, they might.